Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilu Nishmas was Mordechai. For those who don't know, the new guys, we have here 3 generations of Eismans. Rabbi Eisman and the Bar Mitzvah Bachel Moshe, and in between we have Yeshayu who came last night. So 3 generations. I see another brother here. We start off with emails. Get to know some of the chevra that are part of this year. Here, if you look at the picture, you'll see some guys that we never saw before. This is from Zisha Fort Gang. Good morning, Rebbe. Baruch Hashem, I'm currently learning Yerushalayim and I've been doing the daf since the beginning of Yevamos. Little to my knowledge, there were several other Bachrim doing the daf. So we decided in order to keep everyone consistent and get more guys to join this year, we started MDY Chabura in our yeshiva. I have no idea what yeshiva this is. This is our second night where we learn and shmuz about the day's daf. The Baruch Hashem, we're all properly cult evaded. Rabbi Sai, here we go. This kid again, I don't know what school he's from. Yesterday he had a murder. Good morning, Rabbi Sai, and here he is. A whole bus full of kids. Givaldi. This kid is a leader. Beis Hashem is going to lead the entire camp to do the daf. Listen to this one. This is by Ya'kov Locke from Lakewood. What Torah is the best segulah. Congratulations. You just got yourself your first corporate sponsor. We're trying to raise money for the big siyum. Going to be over 1,000 people, Beis Hashem, in Deal, New Jersey. Way over 500 people signed up already. I'll pony up $10,000 to be a prime sponsor for the siyum. My pleasure. I think you're going to reach new heights ever imagined. I consider my donation and investment at the ground floor. Have a wonderful Shabbos. So whoever wants to give towards that, or Stamazar, we're trying to raise $1 million for this coming year. You could talk to Tomer, to Avi, Yishkoyach, Reb Jacob Locke. I spoke about this last week, and I want to introduce to you the newest and the latest gadget and device of MDY. We've been working on it for a while. A lot of people behind the scenes. Tomer, Morty Rubin, a genius of a man. Check this out, Rabbi Isai. Here it is, in my pocket, introducing the very first MDY Torah tablet. For like $50, you get one of these, or a 10-inch one that could only play MDY shiurim, can't do anything else. It's programmed. We gave it to hackers. They couldn't hack. It's a little bit of an achrayus. I'll show you maybe tomorrow how this thing works, but it has shiurim. It uploads the shiurim automatically. It could hold all of the shiurim from beginning of Shas till here. Well, not this device. You have to put a little card in. The card is also safe. You can't put other cards in. You can't reset it. Check Balak Menusa. So this is a device. We have 500 of them. That if the Eilim wants, some people showed a lot of it. This is perfect for guys going to camp, for Bachrim, for Yungalite that don't have smart devices. It's kosher v'yosher. I'll pee a lot of people. So very, very exciting. Even Yerushalmis would be using it. Join dafyomi.com. Rabbi Isai, we're starting Ksubas in just a few days. We know, we have an achrayus. We have so many of our friends. I know of at least 2,000 people that dropped off during Yevamos, just in the numbers alone. We're down to 10,000 again. Because a lot of people struggled with the concepts of Yevamos. You know the people. Whoever I speak to, I struggle. I told you, 2 of my children dropped out. It's our achrayus. We have arvas to Klal Yisrael. We know how much it helps other people. So if you know somebody, convince them to start. Right now, it's easier sugyas already. That's it. We're pretty much done with Yevamos, the Yevamos style. So go out there, get your friends, and whoever joins gets a free Gemara. You get a free Gemara by bringing somebody. Join dafyomi.com, growtheshir.com.
Get a free tablet.
Oh, beautiful. Nachman Seltzer sponsoring free tablets for anybody that joins. Unbelievable. MDYsponsor.com if you want to sponsor Gemaras like, who was it? Weinstock. $7,000 towards Gemaras the other day. Still don't know who he is. Oh, one last thing. We met in Chicago when you gave my son Izzy a bracha. As I told you, although I was already learning daf, I needed reinforcements. I started from Yevamos Daf Beis. I was saddened to hear about the loss of Reb Shimi Weiss, I was shocked to hear that his brother Yeshua was sitting in Chicago, Shiva. I davened Shachar this morning to be Mechazik the Minyan. Sat down afterwards to pay Shiva call. When Yeshua asked who I was, I simply said, we are family. He looked utterly confused and asked, how are we family? I responded, MDY. The smile on his face was unequivocally Nichma Velam, Yitamit Shmuel Zundel, Father Yisrael Alta ben Chava Chana. This month's Hillel, sponsored by hatzlacha Kol Mishpachas MDY. Parnasah Chodesh number 1, Ahron Fraiman Lzchus continue parnasah siyadta dishmaya hatzlacha to rebelli. Parnasah Chodesh number 2, by the Lock and Lebovic families who just donated $10,000. Lakewood NJ because Torah is the best segulah. Parnasah Chodesh, Nishmas we're going to start soon. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. Nishmas Yosef. Parnasah Chodesh number 4, Refuah Shilayma for Yevamos, Avyah Bas Shivra Chaya. Parnasah Chodesh number 5, MDY Family. Nishmas Weiss, Shimshon ben Meshulam Dov Zechron Levracha. The Sharp family, Nishmas our grandfather, Rabbi Ya'akov, Rabbi Avraham, Yosef Sharp, and it should be a Lzchus, Nachas the Kedusha, and tremendous success in my new endeavors. That's sponsored by himself, Etan Ogorek. Leilu Nishmas, my mother, on her second yard site, Miriam by Shmuel Shmelka. Miriam by Shmuel Shmelka should have Alida Neshama. Rabbi Side, here we go. We are holding by a brand new Mishnah. Oh, so if you came today, it's like a new Masechta. New Mishnah is a new Masechta. I want to share with the Olam a beautiful machshava that I had on Shabbos, during Shemona Esrei, of course, a little bit maybe after. It has to do with what happened on Friday with Reb Nachman Seltzer. It was an unbelievable thing. The Gemara in Siyadta says that the reason why we wear tchelis, 5 years ago this week, I gave a drasha about tchelis in our shul, right behind this wall, and after the drasha, people came over to me and said, well, you're so convincing that you should wear tchelis. How come you don't wear tchelis? I said, good point. So I went on Sunday, I bought tchelis. It's already 5 years. Fine. So it says in the Gemara in Siyadta that if you see your tchelis, it's going to remind you of the ocean. It reminds you of the ocean, or remind you of the Rekiah. It reminds you of Rekiah, or remind you of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I was thinking to myself, that never happened to me. I never looked at my tchelis and thought about HaKadosh Baruch Hu like that. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. It happened to me on Friday. The Gemara says, Tachash, it's a colorful animal. And it got me going, and I started saying in Shir, it reminds me of the octopus. The octopus is very colorful, and then it goes over different terrains, and it changes colors in a blink of an eye, and the whole thing. And I wrote in my Gemara, you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the octopus. And that's mamash it. When I said the word Tachash, it reminded me of the octopus, which reminds me of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Each person their own way. So he was asking me, what shaykhs? He was mamish upset. What shaykhs is after the sugya? Let's play the videotape. I knew he was going to say this. I put the video. No, I don't have it. What shaykhs does it have, Eli? It's somewhere in between. Anyways, it doesn't have shaykhs. But to me personally, not for you, but for me, it reminds me of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I decided to share with the Olam. Sometimes you see something, you don't know what, and it gives you a thing. Is it a good answer? Not a good answer? Took me 48 hours to answer. Okay, fine. Zok the Mishnah. Cholza b'layla, daf kuf dalet Amud Aleph. Kuf dalet Amud Aleph by the Mishnah. Cholza b'layla, like 6 lines down. Cholza b'layla, every Sunday we always start where we're supposed to be, a couple lines down, then we have to make it up on Motzei Shabbos. Throughout the week we fall behind. By the way, to answer your kasha, Rebelli, I saw the Aruch says that in those days they used to bury people with shoes, with sandalim, it says. On the Gemara right here that they made a shoe for that person. He asked, but he's in Chaver Kedisha and you're not allowed to bury. In those days they did. Okay. Cholza b'layla, chalitza sakshera. If you perform chalitza at night, it's a good chalitza. It seems like after the fact. B'di'evet, kshera. Reb Lezer Poisel, he says it's not good. The Gemara is going to discuss. B'smoil. If the chalitza is performed on the left foot, not the left shoe, the left foot, chalitza is a psula. Usually when the Mishnah says pasul, it's not good, but it pasels, it has some effect that the Yevama can't do yibum with another Yavam. Says the Gemara, Lema balkam mifli. Perhaps the machloikis, night, not night, could you do chalitza night? The mar sovar makshinon rivim linegoyim. So here's the pasuk. It says, "Val PM year." Oh, sorry. We said we're going to go back to wide. Okay. Val PM year kol riv v'chol noga. it says in the same pasuk riv, which is a din Torah, and nega tzaras. So there's a hekesh between the two. And it says by negaim uviyayim hirois boy basar chayitma. When it comes to nega, it has to be biyayim. The kohen looks at the nega and the tzaras that a person has during the day. So just like by tzaras is during uvayayim, so you go to the pasuk before, so too din Torah have to be by day. Now, what does that have to do with chalitza? Because chalitza is also a little bit of a din Torah. Well, the question is, does the woman get a ksub or not? There's dinei maminis when it comes to chalitza, so it should be done only during the day. That's one man d'amar. We don't make that hekesh at all. Maybe that's the machlokes in our Mishnah. Loi, that's not the machlokes. There's no connection. We don't make a hekesh between dinei Torah and tzaras. Di makshina, because if you would, afilu gmar din b'layla nami loi. So we know the halacha is if you started din Torah during the day, you can finish it off at night. But in a goyim, you can't do anything at night. So this mandama holds you don't take anything out of a nega, out of tzaras. We don't learn anything. So what's the machlokes? Marsavar chalitza ketchilas din damya. Chalitza is like the beginning of a din Torah, and therefore it is only during the day. Just like a din Torah you can finish off at night, chalitza also you can finish off at night. By the way, coming up the next Mishnah, Be'ezer Hashem, we have a video, a real chalitza. I don't know, we showed a little bit of it. This one is a pretty strong video. The faces are blurred, but you can see the whole chalitza from beginning to end. It's a minute and a half. It's very, very cool. There's a person by the name of Rabbi Barchia Kodesva, Ovad Uvda. He did a chalitza with 3 problems in it. Bimuk, it was made out of felt. Ubiyichidi, there's no judges there. He's by himself.
One judge.
Ubalayla. Okay, one judge. Ubalayla, and at night. So these are the things that we discussed. Night, Yachid. The first mission of our parak says it has to be three judges. Ubalayla. Omar Shmuel, Kamarav Guvrei David Kichida. Wow, he's so chashiv. He's making fun. He thinks he's so chashiv that he paskin like the single shita, not like the rabbin. Says the Gemara, my kasha, why? What's the problem? Imok, you're talking about felt, stomatanya. That we learned in a brisa we had yesterday, that a felt shoe is kosher. Vi Laila, stomatanya. Laila also in our Mishnah, Cholza b'Laila, Chalitza Sekshera. It's an anonymous Mishnah. What's the problem to passing like an anonymous Mishnah? That's the halacha. Ella, the problem is, Yechidi Kagashila. How many people do you need to witness the Chalitza? Heichi Ovad b'Yechidi. Dichida Ktanila. It's like a play on words. The Gemara sometimes does it. How did he do with the Yachid when it's a Yachid that paskins like that? Okay? Dichida has nothing to do with Yechidi. Dichida is, it's only a single man d'omer that holds that you don't need, as we're going to see in a second, you don't need 3 judges or laymen even. What if a person the chalitza in front of 2 edim witnesses? Or started out started out with 3, everything's going great, but one of them is a relative. They find out it's a relative. So now you're down to 2. Again, so either you start out with 2, you're down to 2, no difference. Chalitza psula. So the Tanakama holds that you need 3. Okay, that's one sheet, you need 3. 2 is not enough. Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan, and they say no. Both Reb Shimon and Reb Yochanan and Asadar, Reb Shimon, the son of Reb Shimon by Yochai, hold 2 is enough. And forget about 2, even without any. There's a story, they're locked up in jail, no witnesses. The Gemara is going to explain tomorrow. See the word, like they saw them through the window, but not there. Rabbi Kiva said, Chalitza doesn't need any witnesses. We trust them. She spat, she took off the shoe, everything is good. You don't need anybody to witness it. We don't need anybody. Yeah, that's what I just said. We're going to see in the Gemara later. Fine. But what we have here, and by the way, we're going to repeat this today. Mamish word for word, so we get a freebie here. Rabbi Kiva says kosher. Seems like without Edom. V'omer of Yosef, bar Minyoimi, Omer of Nachman, ein halach goy says zug. We don't pass like Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yochanan. The Bach might take it out. The bottom line is we don't pass like Rabbi Kiva. You don't need anybody. So so it's a yachid. It's a shilas yachid. We don't paskin that 2 is enough. Certainly not 1. Certainly not anybody. So you need 3. So that's the problem. How did Rabba Bar Chia Kotisfa do? Okay, the fact that it was at night. Okay, he has a Mishnah. What else did he do? Muk. Muk is also good. The problem is how do you do it biyichidi without 3 people? Says Gemara, "V'boy seima kulu nami yichidah k'tanila." No. Everybody holds yichidi. Why? The Sanyom Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yosef. Ani Reisi is Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, the famous from the song. Yeah, you don't want a song that. We did it already. What's his name? Oh, we did it already 2.5 years ago, so we're not going to do it. And Judah does it at every wedding. I saw Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha shechalatz b'muk b'yichidi u'b'layla. So, Rabbi Shmuel, he did it l'chatchila in the first place. The rest, they said, you could do it b'di'evet. Okay. Zog the Gemara, we said in the Mishnah, b'smoil chalitzasa is possible. Machlaikis. If you do it on the left, if you remove the shoe from the left foot of the Yavam, it's possible. Lzchus says it's kosher. My time of the Rabbanon. Omar ulo yalfinun regel mimitzaira. By mitzaira, part of the procedure, comes to Beis Hamikdash, and they take from the blood of his carbon, and they put it on his right ear, right thumb, and right big toe. And then they repeat the same thing with the oil, ear, thumb, toe. So it says in the Torah regel, malahal the yamin has to be on the right foot. Afkan the yamin by a chalitza. When the Torah says regel, is referring to the same foot as by the mitzvah that it's the right foot. Rebbe Eliezer, by the way, the whole sugya, it says Elazar here, and you have to be goyers Rebbe Eliezer. The Rebbe Eliezer, just sticking a chirik there. Rebbe Eliezer lo yalef regel mitzvah. What, he doesn't learn the regel? Here's a picture. If a Eved Ivri, supposed to be a slave for 6 years, he decides he wants to stick around, so they bring him to the doorpost and they use that tool on the bottom and they puncture his ear. This guy's a yamka and tchelas, everything is good. Obviously he's not a guy. But that's Ritzia. How do you know it's on the right ear? It happens to be that this picture was on the left ear, but I flipped it. Bemas, yeah. Nemar kan oizen, v'nemar la'alon. It says by the Eved Ivri, it says oizen, and it says by Mitzayra oizen. Ma la'alon yamin, afkan yamin. So if the ear is the right ear, so Mela, the foot is also the right foot. So we have a problem with Rebbe Lezer. If Rebbe Lezer darshan zimin, everything has to be on the right. So he's going to hold in our sugya also that has to be the right foot. Why are you telling me that according to Rebbe Lezer it doesn't have to be the right foot? Only according to Rabbanan. You're right. According to what you just told me, Rebbe Lezer holds right. It has to be on the right. So it's Chachamim who hold that it doesn't have to be on the right. We're going to have to flip the shitas. Rav Amar, that doesn't sound good. It's too much of a tchak to flip names. Loilom leitepach. Oizen mufnei. Regel loy mufnei. So we have the famous Yisod when it comes to Gzer Shava. You have 2 words. You have regel by Mitzayra, regel, or oizen by Mitzayra, oizen by Eved. So you make Gzer Shava, just like here it's on the right, over here it's on the right. But that's if both words are completely extra. But if you don't have an extra word, even though you have the same word, you could always ask a question according to Rebbe Lezer and knock the Gzer Shava out. So it says in the pasuk, "V'rotza adoinav es oznoi bar martzeya." You take his ear, and that's in Shmois. In Dvarim it says, So the word oizen is completely extra. We have an extra word oizen, which is in a different chumash, 2 chumashim away, 3 chumashim away from Shmois all the way to Devar. So the word oizen is extra. If you have an extra word, it's solid. It's a solid Gzeir Shav. You can't ask any questions. That's if you hold. Remember, we had a sugya in this Masechta. Does it have to be on both sides by the Eved and by the Mitzayra extra, or just one? Okay. Ask the Gemara, okay, let's say that it's not extra. But in order to slug up the Gzeir Shav, you have to ask a good question. You have to say, you can't compare an Eved to Tzaras, to Mitzayra. Tone 8 Erez, Cedar, Ve'ezaiv. It's the only one I have here today. Ezaiv is Hyssop. How do you? Hyssop. Okay. This is Hyssop. They take this, you dunk it into the water of the paraduma, and you sprinkle. So since you need these interesting objects, ushni toilas, so it's different. So you see already, the Torah is machmer. Fine. By the way, Rashi points out that this sugi right here is the makar of Rebbe Lezer to the entire Shas. That you need these mufnas, you need the words to be extra. Okay. Fine. Before we start the Mishnah, I want to show you this quick clip of a real chalitza. Here it goes. No, hold on. What we want to see here are the 3 essentials, the three things that happen in a chalitza. First of all, she removes the shoe. We know about that. She also spits, and she also reads psukim. What does she read? See if I have it here. Here. The green is what she doesn't say. The red is what she says, and then the middle thing is what he says. Me'en Yevami, he refuses lahakim lachav shem b'Yisrael le'yova yavmi le'chafatzi lekachta. He says le'chafatzi lekachta. I saw another video this morning. The guy really broke his teeth. They had to say it over and over. He didn't know how to say lekachta. You know, people. Not everybody. You're talking about people that are not 100% affiliated. And then they are supposed to say beis chalutza. We see something interesting in this video. This is in Iran. You see mamish the heavy Iranian accent, but they made her say beis chalutza 3 times. I found that there's such a minhag or whatever, but it's really the people around, not so much her. But okay, let's see the video. She holds the foot, and she's supposed to throw the shoe. Didn't like the throw; it wasn't far enough. Look at that spit right here. יוסף לאיש אשר לא יבנה את בית אחיו ונקרא שמו בישראל בית חלוץ הנעל בית חלוץ הנעל. A young couple or whatever. Fine. Huh? Yeah, they were. Yeah, very recent. The other one I saw this morning, maybe I'll show it a different time. She took the shoe. They told her to throw. She took the shoe. She threw it out of the bezdin. Literally, the whole place burst out laughing. It's like, no, we didn't mean that. She like she has the arm of a pitcher. She's like, okay, huh? Zok Eli Mishnah, the official Mishnah sponsored by the Ron Kornbluth. Nishmas, his father Uri ben Matisyo, and Teruchins and Gashmis of his kids. So the Mishnah is going through what happens if you miss one of the steps. Yeah, Gershon, the rabbi, he's saying that you're in the. He'll only turn off the volume if you back up. He said. I'm telling him this volume. He's like, okay, Shkoyach. Eliyahu was telling me he's the sound guy. He knows. Chaltza v'rakaka. She performed the chalitza and the spitting. Avaloi kara. She didn't say all the psukim. Now we know what the psukim are, right? It makes a lot more, resonates better. Chalitza sakshera. It's okay, chalitza. You don't call them back or whatever. Kara v'rakaka. She did two other ones. She did the kriya and the rikika. She spit and she read the psukim. Avaloi chaltza. I think everybody's going to guess the answer to this one. Chalitza psula. You need to remove the shoe. Chaltza v'kara. She did remove the shoe. She read the psukim. Avaloi rakaka. How important is rikika? Rebbe Eliezer oimer chalitza psula. Rebbe Kiva oimer chalitza ksheira. Okay. Daf Kuf Amud Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn. I know it's a little out of hand. In honor of Hillel Zand and sponsored in honor of Eli. Omar le Rebbe Eliezer, kocha yasa. This is how it's done. There's a maisa called dover shu maisa ma'akiv. To spit is an action, but to read is not an action. Kriya is not an action. Omar le Rebbe Kiva mishom raya, kocha yasa lo ish. The man doesn't spit, it's the woman that spits. So it has to be an action that's taken within the man. So memela, it's not ma'akiv, says Rebbe Kiva. If she doesn't spit, chalitza sakshera. Why? Because kocha yasa, the action is lo ish. Things that he has to do. Next, hacheresh shenechlatz. A cheresh who's a yavam, deaf mute. La halacha has a halacha b'shoita, and we learned that when it comes to chalitza, they both have to have das. They have to have intent. They have to know what they're doing. He can't have that intent. We're going to see soon. Maybe there's another problem, or the real problem. V'achiresh shechaltza, and if she's deaf mute, v'choyletz is lekata, and if he's a minor, chalitzatza psula. Her chalitza is possible. Now Rashi says something very interesting. I just want to point it out. I'm not going to get into it. Rashi says, if the cheresh does chalitza lepatra b'makoim ach kosher, if there's a brother that's available to do it, then it's only mashma from Rashi. If there's no brother, maybe it has more power. Her chalitza, not without getting into it. Huh? No, one.
If the cheresh is the only brother,
Yeah.
she doesn't need chalitza.
What? No, she's stuck. He just doesn't know how to do chalitza. If you're married to a guy that's a shaita, a guy that's eating shaita, you're stuck. You don't come out of the marriage. There's a zika. How do you get rid of the zika? Okay, so if she performed the chalitza when she was a minor, she has to redo the chalitza. The original one that she did when she was a tana is not a good chalitza. You're going to see what that means exactly. Chaltza b'shnayim or b'shloisha. This, Rabbi Isai, if it sounds familiar, it is familiar because we read every word on Amud Aleph. Chaltza b'shnayim. If she did chalitza with two people, or b'shloisha or three, v'dim se'echem em karev and apostle. One of them is a karev, so now three goes down to two. Chalitza psula. Reb Shimon Ber Yochanan Sandler Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says machshirin, it's kosher. Did they perform something like this in jail? We can see tomorrow exactly what happened. If you tell me that it's not essential, one of the three things that's not the end of the world if you don't do is to read all the psukim. If a person can't read and they perform chalitza and sheira. It's a good chalitza. What's a good kash on that? No, what's a good kash? I see you. Beautiful. Yeah. That's a bomb kasha, and the Gemara is going to talk about it. That's exactly what he says at the end. Yeah. Kol shoroi lebila. There's a difference if a person could talk, but he doesn't talk. He could say the psukim, but he doesn't feel like saying. That's one halacha. It's okay. But if a person doesn't have the ability to talk, usually it's ma'akiv. Tanan. What about our Mishnah? Why is it that a cheresh can't be a yavam and a chereshes can't be the Yevama, my time is it because they can't read? Right? We're talking about deaf mute. They can't read. It's because they have hatzlacha of a siyadta. So it's a little bit of a shverka we have to understand, but maybe Elam v'lemes should also have the same halacha of a siyadta. Amar Rava, no. Elam v'lemes b'nei deinu. Throughout Shas, a mute is not a siyadta. Upumayu dekarvelu. It's just a technical problem. They have all the das in the world. They know it's flying. They could have kavana for the chalitza. They just can't say the psukim. They have if somebody has a wound in his mouth, it's not a what? Yeah. Va'amri debei Rabbi Yanai. Ask the Gemara, but Rabbi Yanai says, Lefi she'enoi ba'amar va'amra. A cheresh. Why is a cheresh possible, not a ilam? A cheresh, because he's not in the parsha of Omar va'amra, right? In these psukim right over here, va'amra, va'amar, va'ansa va'amra. A cheresh is not in that parsha. If not in that parsha, he can't perform chalitza. So you see that the problem is speaking. So maybe a ilam also, somebody who can't speak is not in the parsha of speaking, and if he can't be in the parsha of speaking, why did Rava say that a mute person could perform chalitza? Look, he's not in the parsha of Omar va'amra. Elok yitmar Rava, aseife yitmar. So now the Gemara is taking it back. Mamish fakert of what we started out. We started out saying Rava says a mute person could perform chalitza. Now I'm saying no, that's not what he said. He said a mute person cannot perform chalitza. Cheresh shenechlatz v'cheresh shecholtza b'achuiletzes minakoton chalitzoso psulo. On that, Amar Rava hashad amris kriyam akva. Now that you're telling me that the reason why a cheresh and a chereshes cannot perform chalitza is because they're not in the parsha of Omar v'Amra. They can't say Omar. They can't say these psukim and Yevami lakim beis halut hanoah, all these things. They can't say it. So memela they can't. Therefore, lefichach ilam ilam shechaltu chalitzasam psula. Comes out halacha. He says, and that's how we paskin that a mute person cannot perform chalitza because he's not in the parsha of the Amira. They can't say psukim. Both of them can't. Says the Gemara, Masising Reb Zera. The famous Reb Zera throughout Shas, the Omar Reb Zera, Kol Haroyu Lebila Ein Bila Makeves Boy. The halacha is that when you bring a mincha, Rashi brings the whole thing if you want to see it. If you bring more than 60 Yisroinim, you need to use 2 kalim, because a kli could only hold 60. Why do you need 2 kalim? Because you have to be able to mix it. The question is, the halacha is if you don't mix a mincha, it's kosher. So why can't you bring 61 Yisroinim in 1 kli and don't mix it? The answer is, kol aroy lebila, if you could mix it, then you don't have to mix it. But if you're not capable of mixing it because it's too much in 1 kli, then it's ma'akiv and it passes it. Unbelievable, you saw it in Shas. And therefore, over here also, Kol haroy lebila ein bila makeves boy. V'chol she'ein roy lebila bila makeves boy. Therefore, if a person doesn't have a mouth to speak with, then he must say the psukim. If he can't say the psukim because he doesn't have the mouth, then his chalitza is possible. But if he's a regular person who could speak, he just doesn't feel like speaking, then the chalitza is kosher. Because he's roy lebila, he's roy la'amira, and he decided on his own not to speak. Shochalei la'avud Shmuel. Yevamos shirakaka tachlitz. Very, very interesting sugya. If you have a certain mitzvah or something that requires 2 actions, like by chalitza, there's 3 actions. You have to spit, you have to say, you have to remove the shoe. What happens if you only take 1 out of the 3, 1 out of the 2? Does it do a little bit of the maisa or 0? What is it? You do 50%, 75%. What did you do when you said, let's say she only spat, and that's it. She didn't do anything. She walked away. She spat at the Yavam and she went home. Could that Yavam go ahead? Could another brother, let's say, be miyabim her? What's the halacha? Does it take effect somewhat? Or no? The Torah says you have to do 3 actions. If you don't take all 3, then even if you do 1, it's 0. Or maybe no, maybe it's 33%. And for 33%, you cannot be misyabim to another brother. He says the halacha. It seems like from his words If she just spits at her yavam, she goes to Bezin, let's say. Not stam spit because she's mad at him. She spat at him because she wanted to do yibum. She wanted to do chalitza. Michlas says the Gemara, the pasli lo me'achim. Here, it's brought down hatzlacha. She spits, that's it. No more yibum for anybody. Mani. Now who does this go according to? Eli me Rebbe Akiva. Wait a minute. Rebbe Akiva is the one in the mission that says that if she doesn't spit, it's a good chalitza. Meaning that it's not essential part of the chalitza. So if it's not an essential part of the chalitza, how could that's not essential, ruin it? You're going to be machshir as such a chosh of a piece. Now that's not enough for the Gemara. The Gemara goes even further and brings a great riot. Hashta. Imurim. Here, check this out. These are the imurim of a carbon. These are the parts. Anytime you bring a carbon chatas, let's say, you have to take out these different fats. The one in the center on the top is a part of the right on top of the liver, and then you have a little bit on top of you can see the kidneys on the left top corner, 2 kidneys and a little bit of fat, and the aliyah, different fats. You take that, and what do you do with it? He takes it and throws it onto the mizbeach. That's the imurim. Now the halacha is, if he doesn't do that action, he doesn't throw the imurim on top of the mizbeach, the kohen cannot eat the steak. He can't eat the carbon. But what if those imurim get lost? What if those imurim become tamei? The halacha is he could eat the steak. Oh, says the Gemara, if they're not available, then it's not the end of the world, and you could eat them for meat. But if those imurim are in the bucket, you cannot eat, it's also for you to eat. And in that case, Rebbe Akiva says, it's okay, it's not makiv. The Rebbe Akiva holds that Rebbe Akiva, go back 2 words. You don't need spit by us. So if by the imurim, you don't have it, you could eat. Rebbe Akiva says spit is not important. So if it's not important, how could it passel the brothers? Vela, okay, so it's not Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva is the one that holds spit is not important for the chalitza. If she forgets it, it's a good chalitza. Vela Rebbe Eliezer is the one that holds that. I said also is Rebbe Eliezer. If Rebbe Eliezer says if you don't spit, it's ma'akiv. It's very essential. As the Gemara, this is like a mitzvah that requires 2 actions. If you do one without the other, you got 0. It's not 50% if you do one, you have a big 0. Says Gemara, no, but I have in mind the Omar that if you do 1 out of 2, it's 50% or something like that. Ela Kerebi. You have the korbanos you bring on Shavuos. The 2 lambs you bring on Shavuos come together with 2 breads. They have a connection, these 2. The bread does not become kaddish to the point that if you take it out of the Beis Hamikdash, it becomes pasul, you can't redeem it. It doesn't become kaddish, ela b'shchita. If you shech the 2 animals, then the bread becomes kaddish. And if you take the bread out of the Beis Hamikdash, it becomes pasul b'chutz. Ketzad? Shchat and l'shman v'zarg dan l'shman. If he had the right intent, he says, I'm taking these shlamim, right? He has 2 korban shlamim on Shavuos. He says to himself, this kohen, he says, I'm bringing 2 oilas, 2 chatas instead of shlamim. He ruined it. It's shloi l'shma. So if he did shchat and l'shman v'zarg dan l'shman, he did the shchita perfectly. And he did the zrika perfect. Everything was the right intent. Then the bread is okay. But what happens if shachat shaloi l'shman? He thought to himself, I'm doing a oila instead of a shlamim. V'zarg l'shman, but the second part he did okay. He did 1 out of the 2 actions was okay. Like kadosh alechem. It's not a good. There's no kedusha on the bread. Shchat and l'shman v'zarg dam and shaloi l'shman. If he started off okay, the shchita, he said to himself, I'm doing shlamim. Everything is great. V'zarg dam shaloi l'shman. But the second action, he didn't have the right intent. Kadosh ve'enoi kadosh divrei Rebbe. What does Rebbe say? It's a little bit kadosh. Now, in Gemara, there's no such thing as a little bit. It's either all or nothing. But what it means is, we could call just to l'saver size and 50% kadosh. Meaning, it didn't satisfy what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do. You didn't bring the breads. However, if you took this bread outside of the Beis Hamikdash, it becomes possible. You cannot redeem it. So it became somewhat kadosh for l'chumra, not to fulfill the mitzvah. You see that Rebbe holds, if something requires two actions, like shchita and zrika, and you had kavan in one and not the other, you accomplish 50%. So over here also, what? Same thing by us. If you need to do rikika, you need to spit, you need to remove the shoe, and you did one of the two, you only did the spit. So you accomplished something. What did you accomplish? She can't have yibum from the other brothers. It's not a good chalitza. She can't get married to somebody else. But to the brothers, at least we accomplished that. Just like over here, you accomplish that. If you take the bread out, it's no good. So you accomplish that the brothers can't be miyabimer. Rebbe argues. He says both actions need to be taken. And with this, we'll finish here today. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.